Namaste. This is Professor Sridhar here from KSSM, Kamavari Sangha School of Engineering and Management, Department of Management Studies. As you are going to write this subject, today I am going to brief you some important concepts in MC, Managerial Communication. So what exactly is communication? Okay, there is a beautiful saying in English, it doesn't matter how bad your English is as long as your Scotch is good. So it doesn't matter how bad your English is as long as your confidence is good. If you have a tremendous confidence, you can survive anywhere and everywhere. So with that confidence, so I am sure you are going to write well. So this subject, managerial communication, how communication is being used in a business environment, in day-to-day business transactions. Because in organization, the action, reaction, interaction and counteraction of the people in the organization depends on how well they are going to communicate, how well they are going to issue orders, how well they are going to solving the conflict, how well they are going to create a good negotiation. So there are a lot of things are involved with this managerial communication. So let's have a look at the basic definition of communication. So what exactly is communication? It is a transfer of information and understanding. Please remember, dear students, it's not just communication is transfer of information. It is transfer of information plus understanding from one person to another person, and it is a way of reaching other with facts, idea, thoughts, and values. Okay, we are going to reach other people, we are going to reach other personality, we are going to touch others perceptions through symbols, values, ideas, facts. So it's the sum of all things one person does when he wants to create understanding in the mind of another. Okay, so this is communication. Then what exactly is a managerial communication? It's a function which helps manager to communicate with each other as well as with the employees within the organization and outside the organization. Because if you are a manager, you are going to communicate with your internal communication and external communication. So what is internal communication? You are going to communicate with your own employees, you are going to communicate with your suppliers, you are going to communicate with your customers, you are going to communicate with your customers, you are going to communicate with the government. So everywhere the internal and external communication is involved with this managerial communication. So it is what are the different classifications of communication? One is intrapersonal communication. Name itself says it is intrapersonal. You are going to communicate with your own oneself. Okay, so we are going to communicate with ourselves. That's called as a intrapersonal communication. Okay, talking to one's own self. Dramatic words, dramatic works, so that can be called as a intrapersonal communication. Okay, in Kannada we say swagata. Okay, that's called as a intrapersonal communication. And interpersonal communication, the exchange of messages between two persons, between two people, the communication is going to happen. That's called as a interpersonal communication. And group communication, it can among small group like organization, club, classrooms, where all the individuals retain their individual identity. And mass communication, it's going to occur when the message is sent to large group of people. For example, newspaper communication, company is going to communicate about their product and services. Your radio, TV advertisement, these are all called as a mass communication. So please remember, these are the major classification of communication. And there are other types of verbal communication, that what we speak, and non-verbal communication. It includes our picture, signs, gesture, facial expression, body language. The exchange of information between the person is called as a non-verbal communication. And meta communication, formal communication. Formal communication always will have the restricted rules and regulation. Okay, it has a set of principles and regulation, is called as a formal communication. So formal communication is a system of passing message and information between positions within an organization through officially designed channel. Okay, officially we have a designed channels within the organization. Through pre-established channels we are going to communicate officially. That's called as a formal communication. And informal communication is just opposite to this formal communication. So that is it's done using channels that are in contrast with the formal communication channels. It's something like a casual talk. Okay, that's called as a informal communication, and this leads to grapevine communication. So grapevine is a part of informal communication. And horizontal communication and vertical communication, geographical organization, functional organizations, how they are going to, different organizations are going to use different types of communication. And upward communication, okay, and downward communication. Sometimes the lower level employees are going to communicate with higher level authority, okay, and sometimes the higher level management is going to communicate with the lower level employees. So this upward and downward communication is also the other types of communication. And oral communication, written communication, the gesture communication. So these are the different types of communication you should remember. And there may be a question called as what is the role of communication in business? So basically, it's going to manage the complexity all around, because business is not something like, it's not like a cakewalk. Okay, every day there will be a lot of challenges. Okay, that's why we say manager dies every day. Okay, because your today's idea is not going to work for tomorrow. Your today's strategy is not going to work for tomorrow's problem. So you need to come out with a better communication tool every day, better communication strategy to solve the problem. So that's why this is very, very important. Communication is very important to solve everyday complex problems. And better understanding and cooperation between the department, because if you want to build a good rapport, that depends on communication. Okay, without a communication, we cannot have a good relationship. We cannot build a good rapport. So to have a interdepartment and interdepartment good relationship depends on your good communication. And image of company also improves if you're very good in communication. That's going to increase your image. That's going to create a great brand image, credibility for the organization. Again, it's all depend on your good communication. And profitability, obviously, once you are doing extremely good, that leads to profitability. And customer interaction is really better, because if company is really good in interacting with customers, obviously customers also will be very happy to interact with the organization, and this quality of interaction is going to increase your profitability. And image of the company is also. And the other frequently asked question is, what is the purpose of communication? So why do we communicate? The first thing is to inform. So I want to inform something to somebody. Okay, to inform and to pursue. Sometimes somebody is not ready to do the assigned task. I need to create that spark. I need to create that motivation. I need to pursue them. So to pursue and to educate. Okay, for example, training. I am going to formally increase skills and knowledge of the particular participant. Okay, so I am going to educate them. So that is also another important purpose of communication. And to train people, that is also important purpose of communication. To motivate, to integrate. Okay, sometimes we need to channelize all the resources in a very effective way, and that is to integrate. And to entertain. Okay, that is also very, very important. If we can able to communicate very effectively, that is also a kind of entertainment. And to relate, these are the major purpose of communication. Another important topic in the first unit is communication process. Okay, how exactly this communication is going to take place. Okay, I hope you remember the diagram. Okay, the sender and encoding message through channel, and again decoding and receiver and feedback. Okay, so this is a continuous process. So the encoding, decoding, and sender, receiver through channel, feedback, these are the different steps involved in the communication process. The first unit, the barriers of communication. There are so many barriers of communication. It is basically sometimes noise, the physical barriers. Okay, if there is too much of noise, I'm not able to hear properly. So there is one barrier of communication. Selective perception. Sometimes I don't want to listen everything. Okay, for example, if I am interested only with some portion of the speech, okay, I concentrate only on that. Suddenly you talk something about politics, I may not give attention. Okay, so that is not my cup of tea. So a very selective perception. I am going to perceive, I am going to receive only whichever I am interested. Selective perception is also one barrier of communication. Filtering, we are going to filter. We are not going to take completely everything. And information overload. Okay, in 1 hour session, if I can able to give 200 pages of some information, probably not able to digest properly. Okay, so that is too much of information, too much of the load is too much. That's again a big barrier for communication. And loss by transformation, and poor retention, and poor listening. Okay, because we say if you're not a good listener, you cannot become a good communicator. Okay, the listening is very important in communication. The major barrier in communication sometimes the lack of listening. Okay, we don't listen properly. Okay, so that is a problem. We are always so excited to respond, not to listen properly. So first we need to listen to others, then we have to analyze, we have to process it, then we should respond. So that is the difference between reaction and responding. Many times we react but we don't respond. Okay, the responding depends on basically this process. And lack of planning, and if you don't have a thorough systematic plan, what to communicate, how to communicate, which through which methodology I'm going to communicate, if you don't have a proper plan for this, again your communication is not very effective. And emotions, okay, there is also one barrier. Sometimes if you are very emotional, you cannot able to communicate properly, right? So there are a lot of things to say, but you cannot only we can able to see your tears, we cannot hear anything because you are very very emotional. So emotion is also one major the drawback or barrier for communication. And the cultural barriers, socio-psychological barriers. Okay, there are psychological barriers, attitude, perception, personality, and sometimes goal conflict and time and distance. So these are the different barriers of communication. Other important characteristics of successful communication is completeness, conciseness, consideration, concreteness, courtesy, and clearness, correctness. Okay, these are the seven the C's of communication. So please remember this. So as video is going to become a very lengthy, I'm not going to explain each and everything because I need to cover all the units. So hope you can able to recall all these seven C's and give a proper explanation for this. So another topic is conflict. Okay, so conflict we all know very well. It's a difference of opinion, different two people or misunderstanding. Okay, so how a manager is going to solve this with a great communication skill. Okay, solving the conflict in the organization. Okay, and conflict resolution techniques. Okay, that's very very important because if you're not a good communicator, you cannot able to solve the issues properly. So conflict resolution techniques are very important. The first step is identifying the source of conflict, how exactly this conflict is going to take place in the organization, and look beyond the incident. Okay, don't restrict yourself, what exactly has happened today at this point of time. Okay, there are so many past incidents, okay, that has led to this today's incident actually. Okay, the kind of research, kind of investigation is important. So don't take any decision just by looking at what is happening right now. Okay, it's basically you should look beyond the incident. So that's how the conflict resolution should take place and request solution. And identify the solution both disputes can support and come to a proper agreement. These are the steps involved in conflict resolution technique. And what are the guidance to solve this conflict resolution is be very clear and straightforward always. Okay, so whatever you want to communicate straight away to both the parties. Don't merely depend on verbal communication always. Okay, so many times our non-verbal communication is also so effectively is going to convince other person. Okay, so that's the reason we say a good communicator always should know how to use both verbal and non-verbal communication. And we can say sometimes non-verbal communication is most effective and impactful compared to verbal communication. If you really have that great skills communicating through your eyes, communicating through your body language, through your expression, through your gestures, body movements. Okay, so that is also a great skill for a communicator. And never be loud and always be very careful. Okay, when you are solving the conflict, there are chances that the both the parties will the burst out, and that leads to a lot of other problem. So it's better always don't never be loud your voice always. You should be very very careful when you are going to solve the conflict. Okay, and an individual must not assume things on his own. Okay, no assumptions, only based on the true fact. Like how communication can be used very effectively during any crisis. Okay, crisis is very part and parcel of everybody's business life. But how, as a manager, how are you going to communicate to your customers? Because we've seen a lot of crisis, and immediately they, for example, Maggie company, they could able to reposition their brand at the very short span of time. Okay, whenever some crisis happens, again they come out with that and they're going to reposition very effectively. That's again because of the communication. Very strong, very effective, very impactful communication is very important. And how are you going to use communication in negotiation? That is also very important. And it's a discussion among individuals to reach to an alternative which would satisfy all. Both the parties should be happy, like win-win situation. It is not I win, you lose, or you win, I lose, or both of us will lose. It should be both of us should win. That is a good negotiation. And what are the key aspects in effective communication is effective negotiation is: don't assume anything, ask a question if you have any doubts, and speak in the same language. Okay, then only we can have a good negotiation always. Okay, you're talking in some other language and the other party is talking in some other language. Definitely it's not going to synchronize properly to have a good negotiation always. And give feedback on behavior, not the person. There is a beautiful saying in HR, okay, don't hate people, hate their ideology. Okay, so here also you should not so you give the feedback on behavior, not the person. So don't hate people. Okay, hate their personality, hate their ideology, hate their thought process. Okay, so give feedback on the behavior, not the person. And think from the listener's point of view always. Emphasize the main points, create appropriate expectations in the listeners, periodically summarize what you have told so far. That's very important in the negotiation. And communication in cross-cultural settings is also very important. Understanding the cultural diversity, because today managers are going to deal with a different kind of people who belong to a different caste, different religion, different country. Okay, the way you're going to treat your the employee who is from US, you cannot treat same way the employee who is from Japan. Okay, so Japanese are very sensitive. Okay, you cannot handle the next topic is oral communication. What is oral communication? Oral communication is a process of expressing information or ideas by word of mouth. Okay, and oral communication is a process of the verbally transmitting information and idea from one person to other person. So verbally we are going to transmit the information. Okay, that's called as a oral communication. So for example, face-to-face conversation, telephone conversations, discussions that's going to take place in the business meetings. And there are more formal types of oral communication like presentations in business meeting and classroom lectures, the commencement speech given at the graduation ceremony. These are called as a oral communication. So what are the principles of oral communication? The first is clear pronunciation. That's very, very important. Okay, so what you are going to pronunciate, you should be very careful, you should be very cautious always, and your preparation is very important. Okay, wherever you go, okay, go along with some preparations, otherwise don't go. That is the philosophy. Okay, so the preparations are very important. The unity and your integration is very important. The natural voice. Okay, sometimes to attract others or to show off that I know American accent or the other country's accent. So don't go towards the behind the false tone. Okay, you have your own natural tone. So please use that. Okay, so the natural voice is very important, and your planning is important. Your simplicity is very, very important, and your legality and avoiding emotions, because I already have told you, if you are very emotional, you can't express anything. Okay, and the efficiency, your vocabulary should be very, very good. So what is the characteristics of effective communication? Consider the objective. You should be very sincere, be brief and precise, don't beat about the bush. You should be very, very precise, don't assume anything, give full fact and cut the insulting messages and give time to respond. Okay, sometimes they keep on talking, they don't allow others to speak. Okay, so these are the very some characteristics for effective oral communication. And we have a formal, already I have told you, informal interview or informal face-to-face talk, interviews, GD, debate and meetings, conferences, speech, presentation. These are the different forms of oral communication. And there are some barriers also for this oral communication. One is a status. Okay, for example, I am the CEO of this organization. Why should I talk to a sweeper? Okay, so like the lower level manager going to take care of the sweepers. Why should I sitting in the higher position, should I talk to the lower level sweeper? somebody. So this shows sometimes because of this status we don't communicate. The oral communication is not happening because of the status cue. And closed and all knowing mind. Okay, sometimes our mind is closed, we're not open up sometimes. And hollow effect, okay, we are going to judge people based on one behavior, and so that we are not going to communicate again. For example, the first day itself you are going to communicate very rashly with me, or you're going to you're angry on me for some other issue. I consider that you're always a very arrogant person, so I'm not going to communicate anything to you at all later. Okay, so this is going to create a biggest drawback for the communication. And your poor retention, and your abstracting, the slant and cognitive dissonance, and language barrier, these are the major barriers for the oral communication. Listening also, what are the effective listening skills? You will discover your interest and field. Okay, because you show so much of interest only if you have that interest, if you have that passion towards that particular topic. Okay, if you don't like the topic, obviously you don't listen. So our good listening depends on what kind of lecture you're going to listen, what kind of topic you're going to listen. So always choose or discover the topic which you actually like it, and grasp and understand the matter. Okay, and remain calm always. Don't lose your temperament. Okay, you should be very very calm always. Then only you can listen to others. Because suddenly if I say you're a bad person, immediately you get angry and you start fighting with me. You don't listen completely. So that is a problem. Okay, that means you don't have control on your emotions. Okay, your emotional quotient is very very less. So that should not happen in a good listening skills. And be open to accept new ideas and information. Okay, you should be a good listener, and the work upon the listening. So rephrase and summarize. Avoid distractions. If there are too much of distractions, again that's going to reduce the power of listening. And step into the shoes of others. Okay, because to become a good listener we must listen to others. Okay, but always we think from our point of view. Okay, so that's why he says step into the shoes of others, think from others point of view. Okay, in your point of view you are right, we always think we are right, but okay, we have to think from others point of view. If I was in that position, okay, so that way the listening depends on these particular characteristics. And the stages of listening: hearing, focusing on the message, then comprehending and analyzing, evaluating, responding, and remembering. That's called as the listening. Okay, because there is a difference between hearing and listening. Hearing, just now I'm going to hear some sound, but I'm not concentrating. But listening, I'll put my concentration. Okay, I give my time, I give my attention. Okay, I will focus on that. So I'm going to take some information, I'm going to interpret here, I'm going to analyze, I'm going to evaluate, then I'm going to respond, then I also remember. So this process is called as a listening. And about non-verbal communication, already I've told you about that. It is very simple: your touch, your glance, eye contact, okay, your the vocal sound and your proximity, your gestures, your facial expression, pause, your silence. Silence also speaks a lot. Okay, and your dress, that is also going to speak. Your postures, your gestures, your smell, the word choice and sound. So these are all the different types of non-verbal communication. Next topic is written communication: your reports, your circular, your magazines. So it denotes any type of interaction that makes use of written words. It communicates, implies transmission of messages, black and white. It includes diagram, your picture, your graph, etc. is called as a written communication. Your memorandum, your newspaper, picture, diagram, graph, instructions, agreement, notice board. So these are all the types of written communication. What are the advantages? It's an ideal way of transmitting lengthy message. Okay, and you can put it in a very creative way. For example, we used to say earlier don't smoke. Okay, but nowadays we can say thank you for not smoking. Okay, and earlier we used to put the board don't bargain, no bargaining, but today we put a board called as customers are king and queens, and king and queens will never bargain. So that is you can show your creativity in the wordings always. So that is the beauty of written communication. So it ensures the little risk of authorized. It tends to be complete, clear and precise and correct, and tends to be quote as the legal evidence in case of any dispute. Okay, because oral communication cannot be considered as a proof in the case of law. So the written communication like agreement or something can be produced as an evidence in case of any dispute. and it is suited to convey message in a large number of persons at one and the same time. Okay, with the same intensity we can communicate, because in the oral, if I'm communicating something through oral, it varies. Okay, same message, if I'm going to communicate some 10 times in a day, by the time I come to 7th and 8th time, I don't have that enthusiasm. Okay, I may miss out some element, some content might be missed out, but written communication is same. At any point of time it is same, at any group of people it is same. So that's the advantage of written communication. And always the most expected question in written communication is always, I'm sure you know that, 3 into 3 writing process. Okay, 3 into 3 writing, that is analyze, anticipate and adopt. Okay, these are the 3 into 3. And the writing, your research, your organize, your compose, your revising, revise, proofreading and evaluation. And these are the major 3 into 3 process. You must remember business letters. Okay, very formal and handwritten business letters. What are the important components of business letters are the heading always. Okay, and the inside address is very important. And salutation, what do you mean by salutation? You use the word called as a dear sir or dear madam. Okay, that's what is salutation. And the body and the complimentary clause. Okay, at the end what we are going to mention, and the signature line. These are the important components in the business letters. There are some basic principles. Give importance to readers, keep the point, clarity of objective outline, set the right tone and friendly and efficient tone always. Okay, there are different types of letters: adjustment letter, complaint letter, order letter, sales letter, special request letter and inquiry letter, and follow-up letter, letter of recommendations, acknowledgement letter and cover letter, letter of resignation. There are inquiry letters. There are so many types of letters are there. So probably you will have such kind of the theory questions, and sometimes they may ask you to write the letter also. Okay, they'll give a XYZ company wants to order some procurement of raw materials. Okay, you need to write a request letter. Okay, something like that. Okay, that kind of letters will be there, or they may ask you to write the CV also, cover letter. Okay, so if anybody wants this details, or almost some 40 to 50 pages of different letters format I have. In this description I have mentioned my mobile number and email ID. You can just personally send your request. Okay, if you just share your email ID, I am going to send those all 40 to 50 different types of letters. You can just have a glance, how exactly you have to start the sentence, and how exactly you should end it, and what are the important components in the business letters. It should be very very formal. Okay, the tone should be very very formal, and your salutation and is or another important topic is a report writing. Okay, so what are the again important aspects in the report writing? It is basically the progress report, or the inspection report, performance appraisal report, periodical report, investigation report, survey feasibility report, and first information report, FIR, and project report, information report, analytical report, routine report. There are different types of reports are there. This is very lengthy and very in detail. You are going to work on some particular topic. Your progress report, your inspection report. So there are different types of reports are available. What is the objective of writing this report is to communicate to the changes, to inform about the progress, to analyze the input against the output, to share the lessons learned, and risk reduction preparation. There are a lot of benefits of writing a report, because tomorrow if you want to start the business, if you want to avail the loan from the bank, the first thing is you need to submit your report, your project report. Okay, your business project report you need to submit to the bank. Okay, if it is accepted, then only they will be permitting for the loan. That means it should have it has a great value actually. Okay, the report is consist of all different elements of your business. So it's in detail description of what exactly you are going to do that. And we have types of report called as a short term report and long term reports. You can go to press club and you're going to give some information, but press conference is something in a large scale is going to take place. Okay, for example, you need to plan properly with respect to the schedule and the date and time. And the next thing is you need to pick the site where exactly you want to do this press conference. You have to invite press people. Okay, select and train your participants, and you need to contact the media. You have to invite them, and you have to develop some press kit. Okay, there are the couple of things will be there in the kit. So you need to develop the press kit and prepare the room at the press conferences. So this is basically in the large scale it's going to have. For example, I'm going to launch some new product, so I need to conduct a press conference. Okay, it's not that time press meet is not important. Press meet is I need to give some clarification on that. Okay, for example, it was found that too much of iron contents were found in the Maggi product. Okay, so I can call for a press conference, sorry, a press meet. Okay, and in front of press I'm going to say what exactly as actually happened. I'm going to give my own clarification, justification. So that's called as a press meeting. Okay, but press conference is different to that. Okay, this requires a lot of preparation, a lot of planning is required. Okay, you need to book the hall or book the seminar hall, or you need to decorate everything, you need to invite your press people. Okay, you should take care good hospitality. Okay, it happens with a very large scale. Hope you got the difference. I'm sure you all know that very well. Meeting generally you can write. Okay, meeting, the different activities how you are going to conduct with the different aspects in the meeting. Your meeting start time, your end time, your meeting location. What are the topics you are going to discuss? The agenda of the meeting. Okay, so actually before you call for a meeting, you need to send your agenda to all the participants so that employees will be prepared well to discuss in the meeting. And after the meeting, during the meeting, someone should note down the point. It's called as the minutes of meeting. So this is very generally it's going to take place like this in the organization. Study methodology, case study learning. Okay, how to analyze the case. First you need to define the case problem and consider the relevant information and underlying assumptions. List the possible solutions, select a solution and prepare it to the defend, decide how to implement the solution, and decide how to communicate your analysis. Okay, this is the previewing or skimming, reading, scanning. Okay, so these are the typical steps involved in the case study. This generally you can write it, but please remember when you get a question, in the question paper, the last question is a case study. Okay, so what you need to do is study the case 2 to 3 times and analyze carefully, and your facts of the case are very important and assumptions of the case. Okay, for example, they have given some fact. Okay, based on the fact you can assume. For example, in the year 2006, some incident happened. You can assume that okay, probably because of recession it has happened like that. Students, my sincere suggestion is there is no perfect right answer for any case study. Okay, there is no right and wrong answer. It is ultimately how well you are going to justify your answer. Okay, how effectively you are going to justify your answer with valid points. That's important. You cannot say simply no, I don't agree with this. But why are you not agreeing? Okay, you must clearly specifically mention the reason. Okay, so valid points are very very important, and try to bring whatever the concept you have studied in the subject, try to bring it to this case always. Okay, for example, 3 into 3 writing process. Okay, conversation control. Okay, or any concept whatever you have studied, grapevine communication, whatever the concept you have studied in the managerial communication, you bring that concept into case study. So wherever it is required, don't bring unnecessarily. Wherever some question requires or demands, so try to link with some concept so that there will be more weightage for your answers. Some small topics like SMS, teleconferencing, using technology in communication. So I'm sure you can write extremely well about that, so I don't have to talk about that. You can generally write that. So those are the important aspects you must remember in this managerial communication, and I'm sure this video is going to help you to acquire some knowledge about the communication, or it has given some understandings about the communication. And if you can able to score well and get a good result to your institute, I'll be the very happiest person. So thank you so much. This is again Sridhar from KSCM, Kamaveri Sangha School of Engineering and Management. So thank you so much for watching this, and kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel to have more education videos and entertainment videos. So thank you so much, and I wish you all the very best for your exams.